All right, now let's get more on the Democracy Day celebrations, which Nigeria is indeed marking today, and how the high dividends of how the dividends rather of democracy is indeed trickling down to Nigerians. Commissioner for Information, Delta State, Mr. Charles Aniagu, joins us from Asaba, the Delta State capital, for the Democracy Day celebration discussions. You're welcome to News Across Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Ayo. It's my pleasure.
All right, yes, great to have you. So tell us, in what view will you say is the most important thing we should be celebrating today, which is Democracy Day, June the 12th?
Well, thank you. It does appear that in our country, there are a lot of things that we celebrate as a matter of ritual rather than the spirit behind such a celebration. For instance, when we celebrate our independence, individuals, just like children who line up and on Christmas Day, wear very beautiful clothes, are not able to understand the reason for Christmas. Same way, a number of persons celebrate Independence Day without understanding it. And I want to believe that the same applies largely to our Democracy Day celebration. You recall what June 12, 1993 stood for, and I believe with time, if we're able to resonate that spirit, it will be able to also stand for the same thing that happened in 1993. And that election is not just an election that brought about Muslims and Christians speaking in one voice. It was also an election where individuals never cared whether you are from the south or you are from the north. You recall in the course of that election, even if we were much younger, but we participated, Moshood Kashimawo Abiola defeated Bashir Tofa, even his own ward in Kano. That tells you that the people in Tofa's ward in Kano were not just looking at their brother. They were looking at a man who have had cause at that time where we have 14 federal universities, who had cause to give 1 million naira to each of those universities at that time. And you know what 1 million naira meant as far back as the very early, late 80s and early 90s. And so they saw him as a man who was capable of bringing us out of the doldrums. And so even when he chose the person of King Igwe, who was also a fellow Muslim, nobody bothered. That tells you that we were looking at what was good for us as a country. But today, that is not the same thing that you see. We just do hope that we are able to indeed, as we march forward to participate in the 2023 general elections, to put behind us those very, very primordial sentiments that have not helped us or take us to anywhere, but to look at those who are capable of bringing in development across the length and breadth of Nigeria, because we earnestly yearn for development across sectors. Perhaps in the course of this very short discussion, I will tell you what we have been able to do in a place like Delta to be able to give strength to the spirit of June 12, which of course is about making life better for the people of Nigeria.
The June 12, 1993, like you rightly pointed out, was indeed a watershed moment. But would you say the citizens have benefited from democracy as we have it in present day Nigeria, which started, of course, from 1999 up to this present point? And what are the direct impact on the lives of many Nigerians?
Well, the major benefit that we have received as a people and as a country from June 12 is the fact that for the first time now, we have a democracy lasting as much as 23 years and still counting. Because, of course, after the June 12 annulment, it became very obvious that the people have become very much tired of the military incursion into politics. And even those who are in the military have come to also realize that it's an aberration for them to come to power. So that is the only major benefit that we have been able to derive. Outside that, the political class have not been able to nationally been able to give strength to the spirit of June 12. But like I mentioned earlier, let me tell you what we have done here to ensure that democracy endures, just like in the spirit of June 12. We have, even in the course of putting together our programs, carried out what we call a town hall meeting. And that enabled us to interact with a number of persons so that at the end of the day, even if you have been elected to govern the people, that you must be able to execute programs that reflect the yearnings and aspirations of the people. And so through the town hall meetings, we were able to understand the bottom-up approach to understand what the people needed and as against what the leader feels that he needs to give to the people. And as we progress to 2023 elections, we just do hope and believe that leaders across the country will bring up that kind of approach, where you begin to take a look at what do the people need. The people today desire that they have a secured country. They desire that our educational system function. They desire that a Muslim in the north and a Christian in the south look at themselves as Nigerians rather than as persons who profess certain faiths. They desire that irrespective of your ethnic groups, whether you are a Fulani man or an Igbo man or an Hausa man or perhaps a Yoruba man, that you are first and foremost a Nigerian, and that your ethnic groups should be placed under the table. And so as we make progress, we just do hope that the real spirit of June 12, which of course cuts across these different divide that I've mentioned, which is why many persons, like you also rightly mentioned earlier in the course of your question, that June 12 was seen as a watershed. The only way June 12 could become a watershed in our life and remain so, and possibly as we march 2023, is for Nigerians to once again allow that spirit of June 12 to resonate, so that when we vote, we approach the ballot believing that this set of persons are able to add value to our own livelihood. That way we would have been able to give strength to the spirit of June 12. I am happy that here in Delta, a lot is being done in that direction. I do believe that with time, that will also cascade down to other parts of the country. Perhaps there are a number of other states where some of those things are being done, but I told you earlier what we did with a view to ensuring that governance takes the bottom-up approach rather than the top-to-bottom approach.
All right, Commissioner, let me just cast your mind back again to June 12, 1993. I believe at that time you were a practicing journalist, and of course you saw so many things go down, and you've highlighted some of the important things that happened at that time. Now, one key thing that is really taking the attention, or should I say, the political discourse at this moment in time, has to do with, the candidates who are vying for the presidency come 2023 in the general elections. We're talking about religion playing a key role, as it were. Of course, you do know that elections in Nigeria tend to have the religious and perhaps ethnic connotations to it. But you talked about 1993. We had a Muslim ticket, with Bashir Moshood Abiola and, of course, Babagana Kingibe. Do you think that can still happen even in 2023? From what you experienced back then, and, just give us a feel of how that can pan out. Is that really good for us?
It's up to the political parties to present their candidates. It's for Nigerians to assess them. But if you ask me, I do also understand the reason why individuals have become edgy when you want to talk about the issue of the religion that the leaders profess. Whether you have to pair persons that are Christian or Muslim, of course you understand the issue of the divide that have existed in the course of time, and how well the people have not been able to inspire trust among the people they lead, which is why individuals want their brothers to be in office, or they want those who profess their religion to also occupy sensitive positions. But what is most paramount is that even if the person who is leading you is of a different religion, that life becomes better for the average Nigerian should be paramount in our minds. And whether we like it or not, in this election, there are some persons that are quite notable. You want to talk about Atiku Abubakar, you mention the likes of Tinubu, you want to mention P2P, and of course, you must also look in the direction of Kwakwaso. These individuals we know. By the grace of God, in the next couple of days, their running mates will emerge, and we also look at the pedigree of their running mates and what they have contributed to national development at their own corner, if in the case they are a governor, or if you happen to have been a minister before now, or whatever position you may have held in the course of time, even in the private sector. Then Nigerians will begin to assess them rather than just what they say. Good enough, a number of these persons, we know them, we know what they stand for. And everybody must be very much interested. I am happy about the rave with respect to the collection of PVCs. I just do hope that Nigerians and INEC will be able to meet up with the expectation of most Nigerians, and that when they approach the ballot, that they will be able to look at those things that will add value to the development of our country, which is, of course, reflective of the yearnings and aspirations of the people. And at the end of the day, the issue of religion would have become something that we'll have to think less about. The issue of your ethnic groups should also become something that we'll think less about, because ethnicity, religion, and these many other class issues have not helped us in any way. And so I look forward to a situation where Nigerians, when they approach the ballot, they look at the pedigree of individuals that have been brought together. Of course, you must have a combined ballot, that is the president and the vice presidential candidate in an election because of the nature of our laws, that you must have a running mate for you to be qualified to contest. That Nigerians will take a look at those who are running as presidential candidates, and at the same time examine those who are assisting them as running mates, so that at the end of the day, we are looking at these individuals. If you begin to emphasize so much of religion, governance is not a church, neither is it a mosque, where you must begin to bring out the Bible or you bring out the Holy Quran. Yes, you need the guidance of God. Good enough, these two religions also professes God. except, of course, that the route through which you get to God is the only thing that is different. But for me, I believe that we must give strength to what happened in 1993 with respect to June 12th. We must move beyond these primordial sentiments and look at the pedigree of these individuals and the strength that they bring to the table as they possibly step on stage to pilot the affairs of our country. That way would have been able to move out of the doldrums where we find ourselves at the moment.
All right, the Commissioner for Information, Delta State, Mr. Charles Eneagomi, thank you so much for your thoughts on News Across Nigeria.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.